Hello. Hi. We've got Mindy and Hazel. Hey guys. Nice to have you here. Just gonna check you off on a list. And we've still got some time, so we're just gonna wait for everyone else to come in. There's also kind of couple of things that I want to go over before we begin, because I think everyone's gonna be new today. But it's cool because I wanted to share a story. So I'm just gonna actually share a story with you guys while we're waiting. So something really cool literally just happened like 20 minutes ago. So I'm like, I have to tell the group. I was like vacuuming, I like cleaning. And who do we have here? Brianna, hello, welcome. I was just talking about a very divine synchronistic story that just happened to me. So I was vacuuming the kitchen and there's this like little, honestly, it looked like a turd. It's kind of gross, but underneath the oven. And so I'm like, what is that? And so I go down to pick it up rather than just sucking it up with the vacuum. And like, this is what it looks like. And so I'm like, what is this? And then I turn it around and it actually has the word success on it. It's like the weirdest little stone ever, right? So like I run over to my girlfriend / my new wife in the other room. And I'm like, babe, like this is so weird. Like, is this your stone? Like this is definitely not my stone. And like success is literally just hitting me in the face right now. And she laughs and she's like, yeah, super weird. You handed me one of those last night. And I'm like, what do you mean I handed you one of, like, what is it? And she's like, well, years ago, I used to have a bag of all these little tiny stones that had all these like inspirational sayings on it. And she's like, the last time I saw that stone or any of those stones was when I moved into this place, which was 8 years ago. 8 years ago, she had these stones. This is the last time she saw these stones, was 8 years ago. I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, don't you remember handing me one of them last night? And I'm like, no. She's like, remember you found something in the bed and you're like, is this yours? And I'm like, oh my God. And I actually thought, like, once again, this is so tiny, another one of them. And I thought it was like a hardened piece of gum because she chews a lot of gum. I'm like, is this your gum? Anyway, she's like, no. And then I put it on my side table. And in the morning, she's like, I looked at it and I realized it was one of these stones that I haven't found for 8 years. And she's like, you found one last night in the middle of the night. And I'm like, oh my God, what did it say? Right? Because now I want to know, like, what these stones that are coming to me, like what it said. And the stone last night said prosperity. And this one says success. And I was just vacuuming. And I think I actually vacuumed up one of them. And yeah, it was like super tiny and white. But anyway, so it's like so random. These little inspirational stones are just like popping up in my life right now. So wild. Just had to share that story with you guys. It's just, I mean, it just happened. So it's just really cool. I love when the universe is talking to you and it's so obvious. Like, how can you get more obvious than words on a stone? You know what I mean? It's just, oh, so good. So good. Awesome. And we've got Jessie here. Hi, Jessie. I'm assuming your full name is Jessica. Because I have a Jessica on here. And okay, so I'm just going to kind of, in a second, I'm going to talk about some rules. They're not really rules, but just things to kind of keep in mind. I'm going to go ahead and mute everyone. It just helps with background noise and reverb and stuff like that. We're waiting on a few more people. So I highly recommend that you turn on your video. That just helps me connect with your energy. It's not super mandatory, but it definitely is appreciated. Once again, just helps me connect, especially in a big group setting. And I'm going to wait for a couple more people before I get started about just some things to keep in mind. But I'm super happy that all of you are here. And it's great that you all gave me your permission to also release this. So I'm super excited about that. I think that, a lot of people hear me, teach or talk about certain topics online, but they never really see me channel. So I think this is a great opportunity for people to see a different side of what I can do, or at least the source of where I get all the information that I have, which is interesting. So yeah. Oh, and oh, I think Jesse's off, but Jesse, just confirm with me that your full name is Jessica, and that just kind of helps me keep track of everyone. And yeah, so we're just waiting on 1, 2, 3 more people. Also, there's Jordan. Hi, Jordan. Welcome. Go ahead and mark you off. All right. So as I was just saying, I recommend that you and Alex, hello, perfect. So you're going to be muted, but I would prefer to see you visually. And Alex, I see that you're on, but I don't see a microphone for you. So I don't know if you're just kind of figuring out some audio. And then Jesse, if you feel comfortable, I would recommend turning your camera on. If not, no big deal. But hopefully I can hear you for the question. If anyone doesn't want to actually ask their question, that's okay. You can just type it in the little comment section. That's totally fine too. Okay, cool. I'm gonna go over a couple of the things to keep in mind. First of all, everyone here is brand new. You've never had a session with me and you've never been in a group session. Is that correct? Thumbs up. Brand new? Awesome. Some newbies. Fantastic. I love it. Since you guys are all muted, I do love seeing that thumbs up. It definitely helps communication-wise. There you are, Caroline. Nice to have you here. Perfect. You're going to be muted throughout, but I do appreciate the video. Okay, so everyone gets to ask me 2 questions today. Ultimately, I'm going to be channeling either your higher self or your spirit guides. All the information that comes through me comes through as a visual. So each of you get to ask 2 questions. If you're pretty like loose about one of your questions, a question that I always recommend that you ask is, what do my spirit guides need me to know right now? It could be a chakra block. It could be a past lifetime. It could be a cosmic connection. It could be, you know, a present moment thing. It really could be anything. And sometimes as humans, we actually limit the information that we need by thinking that we know what we want, okay? If that makes sense. So sometimes just leaving it open, saying, what do my guides need me to know? Is a really great question. But if you have 2 very clear questions, no big deal. Just go ahead and ask your questions. Also, what else did I say here? Okay, so like I was mentioning, all of you are going to be muted throughout. When it's time to ask your question, I'll go ahead and unmute you, and then you can go ahead and ask your question, and then I'll just channel it. I just want to let you know that the clearer and more concise you are about asking your question, the easier it is for me to channel. If I need to know any more details about your questions, I'll go ahead and ask you those details. So keep it short and sweet. The longer you take to ask your question, the more time you're cutting into your own answer, if that makes sense. We do have a full house today, so definitely some limited time. And then, yeah, last thing I want to mention is please, please, please listen up, because all of you have come from all over the world in all your different time zones right now together to mirror each other at one capacity or another. Obviously, today's a little bit different because I hand chose you from a list. But once again, there's a mirroring effect that's happening. So I always find that people in group sessions get way more answers than just with their 2 questions, because someone else will ask something that really resonates with them too. So if something does really resonate with you, even if it's not your own information, I also love seeing that thumbs up, because that tells me that you're connecting to that information. Okay? Everyone good? Everyone on the same page? Fantastic. All right. Last but not least, do I have everyone's permission here to go ahead and share this beautiful group session after the fact? Is everyone good with that? Perfect. That being said, I will also send all of you the video as well, individually, independently, via email sometime tomorrow, so that you can download it and re-listen to it for yourself. Okay? Awesome. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm just going to go through the top of the list. And we are going to start with Alex. So go ahead with your first question, please.
Hi. My first question is just general, what do I need to know now?
Okay, perfect. 1 second, Alex. Okay. Okay. Okay, perfect. This is a really powerful message from your spirit guides. It's kind of a little bit of an overview of where you're at right now at this time in your life. And I just want to tell you, Alex, that you are so ready for this next cycle. You're so ready to move forward. But you continue to doubt yourself. You continue to hold yourself back. And I got this very clear image with you. And it was like kind of a scary image in a way. There's like a cliff. Okay. So you're at the edge of one cliff. And then you kind of like jump. You know what I mean? You have to kind of make that leap of faith, that jump to the other side of the cliff. And you can make it, but you don't believe in yourself. And here's what's been happening time and time again with you is you're like, okay, I know where I am. I know what I want. You know, I know where I want to go, but I don't think I can get there, right? There's this limiting belief and this self-doubt that keeps holding you back. And every time you think you're strong enough to jump over, you know, that cliff, you get right to the end and then you're like, maybe, you know what, maybe next time. And you're so close, but you're just not fully believing in yourself. And your guides are bringing up this word trust. Okay. It really comes down to trust. And ultimately, before you can trust, you know, your job or the people around you or your friends or your family, you have to trust yourself. Before you trust the universe and your own spiritual gifts, you have to trust yourself. And this is what you're holding back on. It's this trust. And so your guide said, once you have that trust, they gave me this beautiful image of you, and my ear just popped, with these huge wings, and the wings are actually going to transport you over to that other side. So they also gave me an example here as well, which is, say for example, you want a new job, right? With more money, you know, less time, less stress. It's great for everyone. And so you want this new job, and you're applying and you're applying and you're applying, but you don't believe that you can actually get it. You don't believe that you're good enough for that new job, even though you're applying. When you actually just trust yourself and trust that you're good enough to receive whatever it is that you're wanting, and you spread your wings and you actually free yourself of your own mind, that's when that job, it's like your old, you know, second removed cousin calls you up and says, hey, I just want to let you know that I know that you do this thing with work, and I've got this perfect position for you if you're open. You don't even have to apply to a job at that point in time because you're quantum leaping because you trust. Okay, so the biggest message here is trust yourself. Know that you're ready to take this next step. Know that there's this beautiful life waiting for you. But what you have to do is really just kind of center within yourself, trust that you can do it, and stop doubting, and really just kind of make risky moves because you believe that you're good enough to have that. Okay.
Okay. My second question is about a past life.
Yep, we're just going to do everyone's first question first. Sorry, I didn't explain that.
Okay.
And then we're going to go back and do everyone's second question in the second round. Okay?
Okay, cool.
Perfect. Awesome. All right, let's go over to Caroline for your first question, please.
Okay, so I actually wrote it down. Okay, so I've always sensed since I was young that I'm going to be in the public eye.
Mhm.
And I just want to know if you see that for me, or I just don't know what capacity yet or like how, but I just always felt like I'm going to be in the public eye for some reason. And so I don't know where
Okay,
that
perfect.
comes from.
And then is there anything in particular, like any sort of idea of what that might be?
Politics, maybe. My major is political science, and I've always been very
Okay.
invested into politics and humanitarian efforts of some sort. And I also just started taking acting. I used to act as a kid a lot, and I loved
Okay.
acting and performing and being on stage.
Yeah.
So
Cool. And then are you still in school right now?
yes, I'm at in college, a junior.
Great. And what year? Okay, so you're brand new. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look here. 1 second. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So I just want to let you know that it's not very clear cut as far as exactly what it is, and your guides are being very vague for a reason, because if they gave you all the answers, then your path would be completely different. You would, move
Yeah.
yourself around a lot of obstacles. So but I have a lot of blanks to fill in. um, I definitely see you in that position where you're impacting a lot of people. I also see you very passionate about helping humanity in whatever capacity that may be. Um, and yeah, a couple of things like acting right now, it doesn't feel like it's going to be acting. It feels like going through acting lessons or kind of expressing yourself in that way is actually giving you a really incredible set of tools to kind of be sociable and personable and be able to kind of fit yourself into a lot of different buckets or paradigms. But ultimately, that doesn't feel like it's going to be it. It feels like it probably is going to be humanitarian or political. I also want to say, too, that I see you doing a year abroad or maybe even a semester abroad.
Next
I don't know.
semester. Next
No way.
semester in Italy. Yeah,
Oh
Torino.
my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. There's something there for you. And I think you feel that. It just feels like it's going to be some sort of breakthrough or realization. I also see you doing other forms of travel as well later on. Could be other, abroad programs, or it could be like humanitarian stuff as well overseas. But I do see a lot of traveling for you. And I see that there's going to be some pretty good breakthroughs when you do that semester abroad. So that's going to be really incredible. Make sure you set your intentions. Right now, your soul is so excited to do all the things, and that's great because you're young. So do all the things, and then it feels like, especially at the end of school, you're going to be really kind of anchoring in to what those next steps will be. But I think kind of getting your ropes into some of the issues that we're having right now as a humanity. And I think eventually you're going to be bringing in a spiritual aspect to that as well, and balancing, more of the political humanitarian with the spiritual. Once again, it's definitely something you're going to navigate, but you're doing all the right things. I also feel you bringing some past lifetimes back around again as well, like going to Italy and studying this. It just feels like that's kind of reigniting some of that fire too.
Okay, sweet. Thank
Awesome.
you.
You're welcome.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. Let's go over to Brianna for your first question, please. Go ahead.
Okay, so about a month ago, I had a reading done, and he had mentioned that I had a spirit guide around me from ancient Lemuria. So my question is, have I had a past life or any connection with ancient Lemuria? Because that's
Cool.
the first time I've ever heard about it. So
Oh, okay. Let's look into it. 1 second. Hmm. Wow, super interesting. Okay. You've definitely had a lifetime, if not multiple lifetimes in ancient Lemuria, but this is the first one that really came to me. This is the most prominent one. Okay, so you were mostly a Palladian being. I want to say you were probably like mostly Palladian, and then part maybe like Homo sapien. You had a bit of that human in you to help anchor your vibration to this planet. You had to be at least a part of a hybrid. You had dark hair and really bright blue eyes, and honestly, I would call you, if I had a name for you, like it's gonna sound weird, but I would say that you were a water whisperer in that lifetime. And you worked with water a lot. And I just got this image of this beautiful, thriving empire, Lemuria, and you're standing on the edge of, the ocean, and you could feel the ocean breathing. Like, it was the weirdest thing, but you could actually control the ocean too. Like, you had this power over water. Super interesting. I also want to say that you helped form a peace treaty. Once again, it's going to sound weird, especially since you're brand new to all these concepts, or at least, Lemurian concepts. You also helped to form a bridge between the Lemurians and the mermaids, or the mer people at that time. So there's, even on this planet, there are there were a lot more, but there are still now today these mermaids. And because you were so connected to the ocean, you would speak to them. And I think it was mostly telepathic because they had their own language. Yeah, and so the biggest thing was the mer people didn't like the sewage. That's basically what they said, just the waste in the water they didn't like. And so you kind of formed this pact and you created this water system that cleaned the water for your town or your empire of Lemuria. The other thing too is you were a teacher and you taught how to work with water. So everything from clearing and cleansing your crystals in water, healing your body from water, speaking to water with your mind, controlling water with your mind. Like you were this like water goddess in that lifetime, and you taught it too. You were a teacher, anywhere between adults all the way to children. And you were a really great teacher with that as well. And I think that there's this energy coming back around, especially from that particular lifetime, that's really pushing you to get back into this relationship with water, and definitely back into your relationship with your Lemurians and Palladians, because not only were they ancient Lemurians, but they were also of Palladian DNA. So yeah, so hopefully that kind of opens up a can of worms for you, and hopefully it also helps to unlock some of your DNA coming from that time period as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Very cool. I always find like I learn something new every time, for sure. Let's go over to Mindy for your first question, please. Go ahead.
Hi, I am just needing general, what do I need to know right now type stuff.
Perfect. Let's take a look here, Mindy. 1 second. Okay. Okay, interesting. So I kind of got a whole lot of things happening here. Okay, so there's definitely this energy that you've been struggling with, probably for this entire lifetime, and definitely for many lifetimes, which is the word that came through, or the words that came through, were "I'm not strong enough." It's this limiting self, kind of demoting, limiting belief of like, I'm not strong enough. So there's a fear there. And you limit the abundance that could be all around you by pushing so hard and then giving up because you believe that you're not strong enough. It's like you're so close to stepping into that pure white light, but you don't even allow yourself to do that because of these self-sabotaging mechanisms that you've been replaying over and over and over again. I'm not strong enough. And so right away, I wanted to go back because I'm like, what is the source of this? Yeah, some shit happened in childhood. Yeah, things happen in this lifetime to kind of make you feel like you don't deserve to receive, because that's really what it comes down to. But ultimately, I had to go back to past lifetimes for this. I also want to let you know, which I kind of forgot to mention at the beginning, but as we go into past lifetimes, this is for everyone. Just by talking about the past lifetime, just like that Lemurian one, we're instantly clearing and releasing all of the energy and the karma and the attachment and the cords connecting you to that past lifetime. So it's not only just a really cool story, but it's a really great clearing of your energy and healing of you as well. So going into this past lifetime, this is kind of just, like probably like 13th or 14th century, kind of dark ages, medieval era. You were a woman in that lifetime. And in childhood, your parents were just very hard on you. I mean, that whole lifestyle was very hard. It feels like you grew up on a farm. You had probably, I think, 2 older brothers, and then you were the youngest, you were the female. So you were expected to cook and clean and take care of, you know, the boys, right? Your brothers, as well as your father. And it was just, there was so much pressure on you to be so much. And your father would always come home angry and upset and maybe a little bit drunk. And he would always blame your mother. And eventually he ended up blaming you, because you know what you did in that lifetime is you basically stepped in front of your mom and said, okay, well, don't blame her, blame me. You know, it's my fault. And so you took on a lot of that blame, and a lot of that anger and frustration from your father. You willingly took that on to help your mom, right? Not take that on. And so basically you sacrificed yourself at a conscious level. You sacrificed yourself. And so there's this kind of double entendre of thinking that I'm not strong enough because my father told me that I'm not good enough, I'm not strong enough, I never do anything good, you know, and you grew up with that in that past lifetime. And then at the same time, sabotaging yourself, reminding yourself, this is it, this is all I'm good for. It's just to help other people out and to do what I can. But if I want anything, I'm not good enough to have it, you know? And so this reality, this dynamic, this paradigm, this, you know, programming really got started in that past lifetime, and it's been following you ever since. And your guides are saying it's time for you to drop it, because there's a whole life out there for you to live. There's so much abundance just waiting for you. You're such a beautiful, kind-hearted person. You've done so much for this humanity, and yet you're the only one who can't see it. You know, so it's time to turn that around and start receiving by understanding that you are strong enough. So the affirmations like, I am strong enough, I deserve to receive, I am abundant, I know who I am. All of those things should be affirmations that you say to yourself on a daily basis. And that goes for everyone as well. You know, those are all really important to kind of take in and understand. Okay. Awesome. Fantastic. Okay, let's go over to Hazel for your first question, please. Go ahead.
What do my guides want me to know right now?
Perfect, leaving it open. All right, 1 second. Interesting. Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. Okay, so instantly when I tap into your energy, I'm getting drawn into your sacral chakra area. So this is the lower abdomen, right underneath your belly button, also related to the hips, also related to the lower back. It's all in that emotional center area. And this is like imbalanced. And once again, we're kind of talking about limiting beliefs here. So your guides really want you to be able to move forward, but you have to let go of this block before you really ascend to that next vibrational level. So there's a block here, and I don't even want to call it a block, a limiting belief and imbalance. This has to do with, and this has been going on for many lifetimes as well, okay? But this has to do with men. There's this interesting relationship that you have with males. And it's kind of this love-hate relationship that you've got going on with males. I want to tell you that there are 2 cords that are connecting you to 2 males in this current lifetime. One of the cords, and these are both centered on the lower back, okay, which means, and really any issues in this area, I would not be surprised with, because there's a lot of activity going on. So like indigestion, bloating, cramping, digestional issues, hip issues, especially your left hip. I don't know if you have, you know, issues in your left hip, and then the lower back as well. So there's 2 cords that are connecting you to 2 males in your life in the lower back that you need to clear. One of them feels like your father, but it could also be a father figure, but definitely feels like, you know, a father figure. The second feels someone that's a male also, but closer related to your age. And it feels like most likely an ex or someone that you really cared about that's no longer in your life. And let's just talk about this for a second so we really can nail down who these people are, and then we can step forward into what the imbalance is there and how to cut the cords and clear it. So just going to confirm with me about these two different males. Like, who are two males in your life that you've had kind of a push-pull relationship with?
Yeah, definitely my dad. That makes sense.
Dad for sure. Okay. And then what about the one, is it maybe a brother, an ex, or a friend that you really cared about, or who do you think that would be?
I don't have any ex-boyfriends, so
Okay.
it might, but maybe there's his friend. Maybe he's not in my life anymore, but he's the first
Yeah, it
person that
doesn't
pops in
feel
my
like the
head.
younger one. It doesn't feel like the younger one's in your life anymore. So think about that. But I'll kind of explain the dynamic there with a masculine or male energy, especially with that father energy, is that push and pull. It's almost like not love hate, because that's a little bit extreme, but it's almost like seeking or needing the support that you never really got, needing that kind of support emotionally, and seeking that, but also simultaneously resenting that you're not getting what you need from that dynamic or relationship, but you're still seeking it. It's this kind of like roundabout energy. And because of that, you're not able or allowing yourself to fully support yourself. There's always this a little bit of drainage coming from your energy, seeking, like, okay, just, approve of me, or like, let me be who I am, or support me in the way that I need you to support me so that I can move forward. But you haven't fully turned that over to say, I can support myself and I actually don't need you at all. So I just want to like kind of remind you that there's a little bit of that drainage coming out of the lower back. And once again, there's, it's stuck here in the left hip as well. Left is all about the divine feminine. So I feel like you being a little bit softer on yourself, because you also have a lot of that divine masculine energy as well. There's that push and pull. It's really important for you to have compassion for yourself, and be softer on yourself, and not have so many expectations, and support yourself in the way that you need to be supported, which is emotionally. So what I recommend for you is writing a little letter, just one page, to your dad, and maybe to your friends too that you haven't spoken to in a while, and saying, hey dude, you just like dipped out, and like we didn't really complete our friendship, or whatever was there that was not fully completed. Just writing a letter to both of them saying, yeah, this is the kind of dynamic that we've had, and this is the kind of dynamic that I want to have. This is what I want to receive from a best friend, or from a father, or what have you. Okay, so writing that letter, and then just releasing it by burning it. So you don't have to send it to them, no big deal, just release it on your own end. And then ultimately moving forward, like writing in your journal about your emotions, or being more vulnerable more often, like supporting yourself emotionally, rather than relying or waiting or holding your breath for that emotional support from others, especially from males, because that matches your vibration. And if you're not getting that support, then you feel like you're not supported. So completing that by supporting yourself. Okay. Awesome.
It's gone dark.
Good. All right, fantastic. Let's go over to Jessie for your first question. Go ahead.
Hi, Elizabeth. I just wanted to say thank you so much for doing this. Like, you're so awesome. So it's crazy because, I watch your videos and stuff, and I know how awesome you are. But this morning, I was like, wow, she's so kick-ass, like intuitively, because I had this crazy thing happen to me last night, and I reached out with my intention. I said, maybe Elizabeth could help me. And this morning I got an email. So last night I did that, it was like 11:30 at night. And then I got the email from you at 4 o'clock in the morning saying, hey, I have one spot open. I intuitively chose you. And I just like had chills. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. So the reason I put the intention out, when I was younger, I had lost my dad to skin cancer. And then 2 years after, I lost my mom. She was murdered. And throughout the years and stuff, dreams about her and things happening. So I just kind of had this feeling that maybe she didn't go where she needs to be. And so I wanted to like check if I could see if my mom and dad are all right.
Yeah, perfect. Absolutely. How divine. Okay, what are the first names of your mom and your dad?
John and Judy.
Okay, let's take a look here. 1 second. Okay. Yeah. Mhm. Okay. Okay, lots of information here. So I do want to confirm that your father was over on the other side, and he kind of talked to me a little bit. He said that he had time, not much time, but he had time to kind of close and complete things before he crossed over. Your mom, however, I think because it was just so sudden, she was basically, I just saw her in a dark place. I don't even know where, and she was just pacing back and forth, and just worried. She was just so worried. I don't know if when she was around, she was also a worry wart, but she was definitely really worried about her family and what happened and where she was. And because she was in such a state of chaos, she hasn't been able to kind of relax a little bit enough to cross over. But and her guides and her angels have all been around her as well during this time. And so I opened up a pure white light portal. I allowed your dad to come through. And instantly, when she saw him, she just kind of collapsed and she finally just, kind of surrendered in a way. And she was able to cross over. And you're completely right that she was contacting you to kind of help. She didn't even know how, but she definitely has that cord connecting to you. So that really helped to kind of cross her over. She's good. She's over on the other side now. And I think she was just in so much of a state of emotion that now she's just kind of relaxing and processing everything. She also goes through her book of life and, sees all her decisions and everything. There's something else. I'll see if they have anything else they want to mention. But there's something else that came through here that I just want to mention to you, which is more of your greater contracts. And I just want to say that I don't know what you do right now for a living, but there is something there. There's some sort of untapped potential or purpose for you in having two parents who passed away so early and so close, and also helping others deal with death and release, and how to kind of not fill that void, but how to kind of move on from that. And I feel like as you grow into more of your spiritual self, you're going to have more tools to kind of help people with this. I really do see you later down the line in a position of like a counselor or even like a youth worker, like helping people understand death in that way, but in a spiritual way as well. Have you ever thought about that, or are you doing something like that?
Yeah, well, right now I'm just a stay-at-home mom, so it's kind of like
Okay.
hard because I don't really have that many tools to be able to like reach out. But then I also have the internet, and it's kind of like I just got to get out of my own way and get online and start talking to people. But my
Yeah.
entire life since it happened to my mom, like you donate to domestic violence and all that, and especially like all the young kids, and I see them going through something, losing a parent, whether it's just they were sick or if it was in a horrific way. And my heart goes out to them. As much as I feel like I've healed throughout all these years, it's still hard for me that my emotion comes into the mix. So I would have to get to the point where I'm able to heal myself and I don't bring my own story into somebody else's, but I've always wanted to help them.
Absolutely. And I just want to say that, and this goes for everyone, if you want to be a teacher, still learning yourself is the best position that you can be as a teacher. There is no such thing as you are healed, you are now a
Right.
teacher, you've passed all the tests. No, to be the best kind of teacher, you have to be learning yourself. So it's not like, oh, well, once I heal myself or once I get better, you don't have to bring actually, as a matter of fact, bringing your story into the mix is what's going to be so healing for others. So, you know, don't hold back, but realize that that's definitely in your path. It doesn't have to happen right away. But I want to say that there's definitely something there for you. And your guides were like yelling at me to tell you about this greater purpose of why this all happened. And I just want to see if your parents have anything else they want to mention here. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, great. So your mom especially, but both of them say how much they love you. Your mom especially comes through, and she's definitely got you know, full of emotions. And she's just talking honestly about how proud she is of you and how much you're completing some of the energies that both your mom and your dad had. And it's cool because since they crossed over, since they passed, you're now here living your life and you're actually helping them learn lessons as you make different decisions than what they made. So your mom, especially, you know, you being a mom yourself now, there's a huge completion with that. And that's very cathartic and healing for both of you. So she's definitely over on the other side. You'll probably hear from her a lot more as well, in dream state and even in meditation state and those kind of things. She's even talking about like lights or things like flickering.
Oh my gosh, that's what
Yeah.
happened last night. I was looking at her picture on the refrigerator and it was crooked, and I went to turn it and like my eyes zoned into her eyes. It was a picture of her as a kid. And I was like, Mom, I love you so much. And as soon as I was thinking that, my kitchen lights flickered on and off. And I was like, I gotta get in touch with Elizabeth. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Perfect. And I really feel like she's the one who kind of dabbled all of that, because we had one person who wasn't able to show up. And to be honest, I actually didn't want him in the group anyway, because the energy was just all wrong. And it was just so divine that you were that next person. So I think your mom really orchestrated a lot of that last night as well with you. So super beautiful.
That's so awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
very cool. You're welcome. Okay, so last but not least, for the first round of questions, let's go over to Jordan. I also want to say, Jordan, thank you for being the only male here. This is really great. You've got this grounding energy, this grounding force around you. So thank you for grounding all the divine femininity here. This is great. Awesome.
So my question is, I'm curious about any past life traumas I may have not been able to deal with or understand, I guess.
Okay, perfect. And I'm just kind of prompted intuitively to ask you, like, were there any major traumas in this lifetime? I just feel like completing some of that and targeting it right away.
Yeah, I lost my father pretty young.
Okay.
My mom and dad, they weren't really kind of together. It was she kind of kept us apart type of thing. So like I didn't really know him fully when he died. So that was kind of hard. He died when I was, about 16. So I didn't really even knew him then. Yeah, I lost my grandfather that same year. Yeah, basically.
Okay. Okay, so then let's kind of dive into that. Let's take a look at some past lifetimes. Let's see if there's anything here that's related that we can help clear as well. What are the first names of your dad and your grandfather, just in case you want to come through?
Samuel and Barry.
And Barry's your grandfather?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Let's take a look here. 1 second. Hmm. Mhm, mhm. Okay, so there's definitely a past lifetime that comes up here, and definitely a message with this past lifetime too. And the past lifetime is, once again, kind of medieval era, dark ages in Europe somewhere. You were a male in that lifetime as well. And at a very early age, probably more so around the age of, yeah, like 8 or 9, maybe 9 or 10, your father went off to war and he ended up passing away in the military, and or whatever it was called back in that time. And literally, it was just your mom, you, and I want to say you had a bunch of sisters. Like, I want to say you probably had 3 sisters, felt like 2 older, 1 younger. And that's it. I mean, your father never came back, and you were now the man of the house. And there was a great, tremendous amount of pressure on you because you had to kind of protect everyone. You know, you had to do a lot of like the things that are the manly things, you know. And which is funny because once again, the first thing I said was, hey, you're holding space for all these women, which is kind of what you did in that past life and the position that you've been put in. And so you were just like so prideful of your family. Like, you felt like in a lot of ways your sisters were like your children, and like you watched them grow up and you protected them and you watched them get crushed by boys and, you know, just all the things, and you really enjoyed that, and you took care of your mom and you were such a mama's boy, and you know, you helped her cook and clean even, and your mom would always say, well, you know, why don't you just go and find yourself a nice girl, you know? And you told her, you said, well, who's going to take care of you? And so you stayed home. You stayed home with your mom in that lifetime. Pretty much your entire life, actually, you stayed, which wasn't, you know, too uncommon, but essentially it was typically, you know, you go find a partner, you go off and have your own family, and you kind of stay in the same village. But you stayed right there, and you never once thought about yourself in that lifetime. So once again, this theme of sacrifice comes up. And so even when your sisters got married and went off and had babies of their own and they were all out of the house, you were still there providing for your mom. And I want to say that you did metalsmith or blacksmith. I think that's what, with metal, and you would hammer it out. So you made everything from swords and armor. And once again, you have this energy of protection. It was like even people came from everywhere just to wear your armor because of the amount of protection it had. So you had that kind of energy and vibration, and then your mom got older, you still took care of her, and she still told you, you know, it's still good time to go out and find a good girl, and you're like, nope, I'm still here, and that's fine. And then you, unfortunately, as you got older, you got a little bit, not resentful, because you never blamed anyone, but you got restless. You felt like you didn't do anything that was impactful for everyone, you know, not just your family, but for everyone, this kind of sense of purpose for a greater community. And so you started drinking alcohol, and you definitely weren't an angry drunk. Most of the time, no one even knew that you were drinking, but you were very introspective, and in a way, like I would call you like a philosopher or a poet back in that past life, because I think you were also literate, and you taught yourself how to read and write and those kind of things, and you would just write in your journal. You would get pretty wasted, and you would write in your journal. But once again, you use that alcohol as an outlet because you didn't really find what you were looking for. And I think honestly, part of that was that spiritual side too, is understanding, why did your dad cross over, you know, pass away so early? Why was I stuck in this kind of predicament, even though you enjoyed it? But yeah, so there's this theme of sacrifice. And then there's also this theme of searching for something that's untangible. So then you go to something that is tangible. Oh, well, I can feel this. Oh, I can drink it. You know, so I'm just going to go for that because I don't have my, you know, the answers to any of my other questions. So yeah, so it's super interesting. A couple of those themes repeating in this lifetime. So now it's your time to finally, in this new cycle, live your life and really understand who you are and what you want and what you need, and also serving and fulfilling some of that more spiritual aspect of yourself as well, and not just being the caregiver and provider and you know that person to everyone else. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, and then in your next question, if you want to ask about your grandpa and your dad, we can specifically bring them through, but that past life was super important. Okay.
Perfect. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. Let's go back over to Alex for your second question, please.
Hi. My
Hi.
second question is about a past life. I'd like to know about any past life that comes through.
Okay, perfect. Let's take a look here. 1 second. Interesting. Okay, great. So there's I would consider it to be a cosmic lifetime. It's definitely off this planet life that comes through. This is a lifetime that you lived before you were ever human, and you were a female in that lifetime, and you were within the elemental realm. So that's kind of more like mystical, like fairies and gnomes and mermaids and unicorns and those kind of creatures were kind of in that realm. You yourself were an elven, that's what they're calling it, an elven being, So you had pointed ears, and it was like freaking paradise where you lived. It was gorgeous. Like it looked like beautiful tropical, rainforest jungle oasis. There was bugs that were very similar to our planet, like butterflies. You were very connected to butterflies in that lifetime. You hunted for your food. You slept out in nature. It was incredible. You looked very similar to the movie Avatar, the blue beings, but you actually had a very light, kind of almost pinkish purplish skin, pointed ears. You had markings on your skin. Pretty much the rest of your body was very humanoid. I want to say you were probably a little bit taller than regular humans, maybe around 6 feet tall. Yeah, and you had 5 fingers, 5 toes, like very similar. And you were just so at peace, like you were so at ease, and you were so in appreciation of nature all the time, like breathing in the air. You had absolute freedom in that place. And the reason why that, out of all of your past lifetimes, out of your entire Akashic record, come up is because a lot of you it's very difficult for you to be a human, not just in this lifetime, but for many lifetimes. And I just want to say that there's a slight resentment that you have in being a human. And the number one thing that you really struggle with is the amount of, like, basically the lack of freedom that you have. So the fact that you have to work to make money to live, it's like it's keeping you in this perpetual paradigm where you're not able to just be and experience and relax. So this kind of cosmic self of yours is coming through for a reason. Just to kind of bring through some of that energy to say, it's okay that you feel this way. It's okay that it's difficult for you to kind of connect to other humans or to be here on this planet or to feel, safe and secure and at ease. It's okay that you feel that way, but it's also important that you create a sanctuary where you are, right? You're so used to being in connected to nature. Bring in more plants into your place, bring in animals if you like animals, or fish if you enjoy fish, or whatever it may be, but make your home a sanctuary and make sure that you go out in nature more often to really connect to that infinite oneness. And I think once again, when you get a little bit too trapped, you get a little bit stir crazy because you're so used to the kind of wide open outdoors. It's important that you kind of get out of the house more often and switch up those routines. And that's also going to relax your mind from questioning and doubting your next phase or your next cycle or this abundance that's coming through, right? Because the more that you're trapped into your you know, we all have our little boxes. The more that we're trapped into our little box, the more fear and doubt and, you know, persecution and all of that we give ourselves. So it's important for you to find that freedom, have more nature in your life, in your box, as well as get out of the box and experience more nature as well. And that should really kind of allow you to find that neutrality and that 0 point. I also think that you should bring in this cosmic self of yours and talk to her and just kind of feel her energy. So let me just get a name for you. 1 second. Okay. So this is a translated name from her name, which is your name. And I believe that the name or the language was light language translated into English alphabet. And the name that comes through is Alina, A-L-I-N-A. Alina is her name. So you can call upon her anytime to kind of find some more of that piece. Okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Very cool. All right. Let's go back over to Caroline for your second question, please. Go ahead.
I wanted to know what my guides want me to know right now.
Okay, cool. 1 second. Mhm, mhm. Okay. So your guides are kind of bringing up a bit of an imbalance within your own like inner self-talk. And it's kind of funny, actually. It's definitely in relation to the fact that you're an old soul. And you've got this weird imbalance between being way too concentrated at the little picture, like maybe the essay that you have due or the whatever that's happening or some drama that's erupting or whatever, like this is the concentration on the small picture. And then other times you're kind of just like, fuck it, you know, this is fine, right? And you just like let it all go. And then you're like, you know what, there's a whole universe out there, I don't care about this. So you're so extreme in your like just completely let it, like looking at the bigger picture and just not caring at all about the present moment, or you're just so consumed with the present moment that it's the only thing that exists, and it's just really like creating a lot of worry and doubt and fear. So you have to, basically your guides are mentioning two things that are going to really help balance you out. They did say a couple of things like thinking about having like hobbies or other things that you can do that are more personal, kind of mentioning like writing in a notebook or taking a bath every Sunday or joining some sort of team or whatever, or art or something, you know, something else to kind of do with your time that's more personal. They are talking about the next semester and going to Italy, like that's going to be kind of all consuming, just all of those new experiences. But yes, your guys are saying if you kind of bring more intentions into your life and you literally just live a more intentional life, you're going to have more of a balance between the bigger picture and the small picture, and you're going to be less caught up in the smaller picture, or, you know, less of a let go in the bigger picture. So they're kind of mentioning like going to Italy. It's like, what's your intention while there? You know, instead of saying, I'm just open to anything, and then you're like totally consumed in the one thing, or you're completely, you know, out of body in the other way, really saying, okay, well, I'm here to like have a great experience and to grow my spirituality and to connect to what I need to connect with, or learn what I need to learn, or whatever the intention may be. Then you can kind of have more of a clear direction, because you can be a little bit floaty. And then you're like, oh, that doesn't align to my intention. I don't have to get consumed by that. or, oh, that is aligned to my intention and I should really focus on that rather than letting it all go, right? So that intention piece is going to be the translator for you moving forward. And you're a pretty solid manifester too, but you just don't take enough time thinking about the things that you want or setting the intentions for the direction that you want to go in. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, perfect. You're welcome. Okay, great. Let's go over to Brianna for your second question, please.
Okay, so my second question is soul contracts regarding my life purpose or what I should or will be doing.
Okay, perfect. Any sort of idea on what that may be, like any sort of courses or training or thinking about next steps or any sort of big, like this would be the dream job for you?
I have to say pretty much what you do would be my dream job.
Okay, cool. And then have you kind of pursued any sort of courses or study or thought behind that?
I pretty much do a bunch of my own study, I guess, through people like you and just meditation and learning myself.
Perfect.
So.
Okay, let's just take a look here. 1 second. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Okay, great. So in order to understand kind of what your role or purpose is in this lifetime, we kind of have to look at a more macro version of what your contracts are. So I had to go back to your very initial contracts to be on this planet, like basically right before that Lemurian lifetime. Who were you and what did you sign up for to come to this planet? I didn't necessarily see who you were because it's kind of irrelevant for what exactly we're talking about. But I did see the contracts that you signed up for. I just want to let everyone know that every single soul on this planet signs up for 2 contracts. One is, what are you here on this planet to give humanity? What are you here to give? The second is, what are you here on this planet as a human to learn, to receive? So everyone has that. So I took a look at yours, and so what you're here to give is really, yes, actually what you're here to give and what you're here to learn are very, very similar. What you're here to give is to obviously help humanity, uplift humanity, but specifically you are here to help humanity with the balance between worlds, basically the balance between the physical world, their everyday, and the balance between the spiritual world. So that's pretty powerful. That's what you've been here. So you've kind of always been this intermediary between energies and vibrations in many, many past lifetimes. What you're here to receive, which is also very telling, is you are here to understand, as you know, you receiving, you're here to understand the balance between worlds, the balance between the polarity, the balance between the binary, right? Which is like the ultimate lesson in this entire universe to understand. It's the balance between the light and the dark. But I'll tell you that you have had to dive into the darkness and you've had to dive into the light in order to understand both. And that's what makes a really great teacher is, yeah, you've gone on both sides and now you can find that 0 point or that neutrality point. And it's interesting because in that Lemurian lifetime, that's exactly what you did. You were the intermediary between the Mer people and the Lemurians, which is really cool. So that's kind of that tells me a lot about what you're here to do in this lifetime as well. And it's so interesting. I literally saw you in a position kind of similar to what I do, kind of like counseling, life coaching, but you know, crazy intuitive spiritual flair to it, which I consider is kind of what I do too. And I saw and the word, and I'm like, this is definitely not the right word, but I have to say the word because your guides gave me this word. Basically, I saw you in a position where you were helping people, once again, wrong word, but your guides forced me to assimilate. I'm like, assimilate. It feels almost like forceful, you know, like you're here to assimilate humans. But I feel like that word is more in reference to like you're here to help humans acclimate, right? I think that's the better word. Like you're here to help human beings or cosmic beings in a human body acclimate their vibration to this new wave of energy, to this new vibration. I definitely see you in a position doing that. And I just see you attracting a lot of humans who are like, I don't know why I'm having dreams about all these different shapes. It looks like a sacred geometry thing, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. You're tapping into the cosmos. I don't know why this really beautiful blonde chick keeps visiting me in my dreams. Oh, okay. You're talking to a Pleiadian. Like, I see you helping humans understand the spiritual realm and kind of acclimate to this realm and kind of help them, with that balance. So ultimately, that's going to come to you very naturally. I don't really see a whole lot else that you need to do right now, other than, like you mentioned, your own study, but ultimately relying on yourself as that source of the information, rather than, relying on other sources like me or other teachers for the information. So if you say, oh, okay, like parenting an old soul, like, what do I feel about that? What do I think about that? How do I navigate that? And that's when you allow space for the information to come through. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let's go over to Mindy for your second question, please.
Hi. My second question is actually a past life question. I was shown in a dream on 2 consecutive nights. The first night, I was in Atlantis, standing on the ground, looking up at a spire that was on fire. Okay. The second night, I was in an air car that I saw a flash of red, and the next thing I knew, I was in the ocean, looking up through the glass bubble top and seeing the sun coming through the water. It was really beautiful and serene, but I don't understand the relevance of this to my current life.
Okay, interesting. Okay. And then did you say that you saw a spider on fire?
A spire.
What's a spire?
S-P-I-R-E. It's kind of like a tower, but it's much more ornate.
Okay, cool. Very love the verbiage there. Okay, cool. Let's take a look here. Let's see how oh yeah, and then when were these dreams? How long ago? Weeks, days, months, years?
It was a couple, maybe 6 or 8 months ago.
Okay, cool. Let's take a look here. 1 second. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, wow. Okay. So, I mean, I really didn't think that it would be this clear, but it's very clear. Not only what you saw, but how that relates to your current life. So it's pretty cool. You lived multiple lifetimes in ancient Lemuria and Atlantis. Once again, as that kind of Palladian hybrid that I was talking about, anchoring in your energy into planet, you did many things. The main thing that you did was you were a healer. So you did a lot of energetic healings on people. You worked with crystals. You also worked with vortexes and portals. You opened them up. You would sit someone in a vortex or a portal. You would open the portal up. You would bring in the healing energy. Like, you did a lot of work. You also did a lot of grid work on the planet as well. And you were just so thriving. Like, you were so in your element. Like, you were so free. You did exactly what you wanted to do. It was just incredible. It was amazing society. And unfortunately, you were there during the fall of Atlantis. That was that lifetime that you saw 8 months ago. And it was such a traumatizing experience for you that, say, for example, you could have had 10 lifetimes in Lemuria and Atlantis, and all you remember is the fall of Atlantis, the very last lifetime, because it was so freaking heart-wrenching for you. Like, I cannot express that enough, how just destroying it was for you to just see this beautiful place, go basically burn down in flames. And I believe how you died was when you were in that kind of Airbus or spacecraft or what have you, you ended up, I don't know if it was you got shot down or if it was a meteor that hit you and you kind of ended up passing away by sinking or being in the water or what have you. But that's basically the very end, and just basically seeing your entire nation and empire fall. Yeah, it was just so heartbreaking. Now, I want to tell you that how this is relevant to your current life is that was who you really were. And since then, since seeing the fall of that, you've been so resentful of being human and not being able, like you've just literally seen humanity go into this downward spiral ever since Atlantis and Lemuria. And you've been super resentful for the whole thing. And unfortunately, you were also kind of trapped here because of the karma that you created upon seeing the fall of Atlantis, right? There's a lot of trauma there, a lot of karma there. So you had to come back to relive that and complete it. And I'll tell you that just by talking about it right now and that past life or that vision and those dreams that you had, that's a completion. That's a full completion of that past life. So that I want to also mention to you that I see you moving forward from this planet, okay? Just I don't see you coming back here. I see this being your very last lifetime, and this is your completion. Just knowing about it, which is really important. And so the biggest thing for you moving forward is you don't have to be some grandiose spiritual teacher. You don't have to, get on your soapbox and preach. There's none of that that needs to happen in your lifetime. You don't even have to be a healer again, but it would be beautiful if you were. But ultimately, letting go of the resentment for humanity, and just like I just literally see you like sitting back saying, come on, humans, get it together. You know what I mean? Like that's the energy that I have from you. It's just like you're not really doing it much about it. You're just kind of sitting back just like, I can't even do anything with this, even if you tried, you couldn't do anything about it. So I just see that, like that resentment overall. I want you to find the beauty in humanity again. I want you to find the joy in humanity again. I want you to find the hope in humans again. And that's going to officially clear that karma and allow you to move forward. Okay? Awesome. All right, fantastic. Let's go over to Hazel for your second question, please. Go ahead.
Yeah, what's my cosmic identity?
Okay, so I'll just say that there isn't necessarily one. There's going to be one that stands out, but everyone has multiple different cosmic identities. So I'm just going to pinpoint the one that's most significant to you right now. Okay? 1 second. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. So this is a very, very impactful past life, and it's definitely releasing a ton of old energy. And the same word is resentment. You guys hold a lot of resentment in this group. No, I'm kidding. It's normal. So Hazel, for you, I go all the way back into a past lifetime where you were on a planet within the Orion constellation, and you were Lyran. So you were you were full Lyran. So like that feline type, humanoid type of being. You were male. You were mostly male in that existence. And you were like, at first you were like really peaceful, you had a family, you just really enjoyed your time on that planet within Orion. And then eventually, because your planet started getting invaded and attacked, you became kind of a warrior. And so you became this Lyran warrior. And you were a pretty big, badass. And you fought off whoever was invading. And I asked who was invading, and they said that it was the Archons, or the Dracos, or the reptiles, or whatever, however you want to call them. But it was basically one of their species, because there's many different, draconian species out there. There's one of them that was invading your planet. And it was because of whatever the planet's resources were that they were invading. And so the Lyrans, you included, put up this huge fight to fight against the Dracos. And so you pushed back, and the Dracos didn't expect such a fight. Like, you guys were like a warrior nation. Like, I see this Lyran army as like, Sparta, you know what I mean? Like, just like killing it. And so the Dracos didn't expect that. And eventually, at a certain point in time, you guys thought that you had won this war for your planet. And then it was like really kind of calm. And then it was kind of like the calm before the storm. And then the Dracos basically set off. I want to say it was basically like a, not even nuclear because the technology was different, but yeah, some sort of crazy bomb that they implanted in the center of the planet. And basically what the Draco said is, if we can't have your planet, then no one gets to have your planet. And they literally just did that out of resentment and spite and all of that stuff. I want to say that you ended up leaving the planet before that happened, just before that happened, and a bunch of you did on spaceships. You left the planet, and then your planet was destroyed, and it was just so heartbreaking. Once again, this theme of kind of having this home be destroyed, and yeah, super heartbreaking for you. And I just want to see, there was something else that they brought up here. Oh yeah, okay. So ever since then, you've had a really big resentment and spite for the reptilians or the Dracos. And then you're also super feisty about it, kind of like, come at me, bro. Like, what? Like, you know? And so you've kind of got this, once again, this weird mixed energy about it. So half of you is the warrior and half of you is just pissed off. And so interesting. In coming to this planet, your spirit guide said, look, we think it's going to be a good idea for you, to be born on this planet, to actually complete some of the resentment that you have towards the reptiles, because human beings have reptilian DNA, right? So this also all comes back to you loving yourself, self-love. How can you love yourself if you hate what you're made of? Reptilian DNA, right? So you've kind of, once again, had this also love-hate relationship with yourself, which is kind of the theme of this, session for you. And so finding that love for yourself ultimately, and trusting yourself and finding the love, even through the corruption in society, is going to really kind of help you complete that energy and help you, move on from this planet as well. But you specifically came here to complete some of the resentment and spite that you feel behind what happened to your home planet around Orion. So let me just get a name for one of your, maybe the most significant Lyran incarnation you had right when your planet was destroyed. So let's take a look here. Okay, yeah, super simple. It felt like you were in like a commander role as well, like you were some sort of corporal or captain or whatever in the military, like you were pretty high up there, which also didn't help too, because there was a lot of attachment and connection to that role and like helping your civilization. The name that came through, once again, it's translated from light language. The name that came through is very short and sweet and simple, and it's V, just V-I, V-I-V. Is the name that came through. So you can call upon him when you're looking to kind of forgive yourself and forgive the Dracos. You can call him in and you can kind of forgive on a quantum level. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Perfect. You're welcome. Awesome. Okay. Let's go over to Jessie for your second question, please. Go ahead. Oh, okay,
so my second question is, I've been doing meditation a lot, and I'm trying to connect with like my higher self, my guides, maybe my cosmic self. And I feel like the connection isn't really strong. I get some visions and stuff. A lot of times, like my body will sway for like a yes or a no answer.
Okay.
It's kind of like a pendulum or whatever. But I'm not sure if I could like trust that information. I don't know if the matrix is messing with me. My mind's like all over the place. Mm-hmm. So my question is like, who are they and what do they need to say to me that's most prominent at this time?
Okay, perfect. Let's take a look here.
Wait, only need to on what?
Okay, very interesting. Right away, I see a bunch of your spirit guides. There's probably 4 or 5 of them. They all come through. You have many spirit guides, but there's a good chunk of them that are all angels. They're very angelic beings, beautiful wings, look very humanoid, and so much love, unconditional love, compassion that they have for you. And they sing, they like hum. I don't know if it's like, you know, I don't know what it's called, like hymning or humming or whatever, but like they have this harmony with their vocal cords and their voice, and it's just really incredible. They have a message for you, and the message is that when you try and connect, you are trying to connect outside of yourself. Like I literally, it's like you project yourself, you know, you're looking for something, you're trying to connect with them, you're astral traveling, whatever that may be, but you're getting outside of yourself to connect to them. And ultimately what it comes down to is you having spiritual experiences within yourself and connecting within. And that's what's really going to propel you to that next level. So they're saying basically stop trying to connect to us and actually just connect to a vibration within yourself that is going to help to equalize and harmonize you. And when you're at that vibrational level, that's when you can bring them in, and you can meet them halfway. But right now, this, you know, trying to connect with them, it's like you're disconnecting from yourself to try and connect with them. And that's kind of, you know, the opposite of the point. So they actually mentioned to look online on YouTube and try and find like 432 hertz and different frequencies that really resonate with you, whether that be like a singing bowl or just like a harmonic orchestra or just like singing but humming. Like I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, so just kind of searching some of that music out, because that's going to really, or even like typing like angelic music, I don't know if that's a thing, but kind of just searching that out, and you'll find something that really resonates with you that is connected to your spirit guides. And really kind of meditating within that sound is going to help you go within and connect yourself inside here, which means that you don't ever have to go anywhere to connect to them. Okay. Awesome. Perfect. All right. And see, last but not least, I guess, I'm going to go over to Jordan for your second question, please.
Anything my cosmic self or guides would like for me to know?
Perfect. Let's take a look here. Okay, so your guides have some pretty tangible advice here, and it's talking about your next steps moving forward, because you are moving into this new cycle. You are ready to kind of transcend and open yourself up. Your next cycle has a lot of golden vibrational frequency around it, which is very cosmic. It's very like spiritual, very purpose driven. And you're here to help people. Like you're here to change lives. Like you are here to provide space, which you're so good at doing, but you're here to do this on a bigger scale. And it doesn't mean, once again, you have to like be on stage and, you know, be in front of a bunch of people, but like you make an impact. Like you can talk to a stranger for 5 minutes, and that stranger is going to walk away feeling way more uplifted with a smile on their face, you know, than they did walking into the conversation with you. And so this is who you are. This is what you do. This is what you're so good at. And your guides are saying, whatever you're doing now, whether it be like, you know, blacksmith or carpentry or mechanic or whatever, it's like drop your job to just literally help people, support people, be with people, and don't just do it and sacrifice yourself by doing it. You know, make some good money doing it, right? Live an abundant life. But they're saying that nothing else, because you're so good at supporting people and helping them, and uplifting them, you know, and changing them. You're so good at that, but nothing else is really going to give your soul that kind of satisfaction. I also see you making a really big impact within like a community as well. And it's almost like helping people understand spirituality. So like making an impact on people's lives, like that could be, you could be a youth worker, or, you know, working with kids who are addicted, or whatever it may be. You could do a variety of things, you know, to make an impact. But there's also a spiritual element here later on as well. It feels like you're going to be helping a certain community, could be a, you know, an endangered youth community, or whatever that community may be. Understand spirituality in not so much of an intimidating way. Like it just feels like you can be so casual and relaxed about it, and help people understand like, hey, you know, you do have guides, you do have people watching your back, you know, beings watching your back, or whatever. And just the way that you approach it and explain it is so beneficial and helpful to so many. So I see you stepping into that. Right now, it's about you kind of finding the right pieces of the puzzle, and just kind of experiencing a lot of what life has to offer you, and trusting. Once again, this theme of ultimately trusting yourself comes around, and just knowing that you're worth it, that you're good enough, that you're ready to receive, and that the world also needs you to step into that power too. Like we need more and more spiritual teachers, you know, as I've talked about before. So it's important that you just kind of step into that and trust yourself in that space as well. Okay.
Perfect. Yeah, it's great validation, because I actually do that a lot, actually. So like I tend to talk to people like that, and just try to build connections and stuff like that through everything. So yeah, that's I sort of knew that, I sort of felt that. So that's cool to know. Thanks.
Amazing. And once again, don't forget that you can get paid for that. People need that. Like literally, like in my mind, you know, you will always get the haters in spirituality. They're like, oh, well, why do you charge, you know, for what you do? It's like, I'm doing incredible work and I still have to live, you know what I mean? So in my mind, it's like buying a new shirt versus getting information that is going to change your freaking soul. Yeah, both of them have an exchange, right? So it's just interesting. But because you're such a sacrificer, you need to please remind yourself that it's okay to charge for helping people. Okay. Okay. Good.
Thank you.
Awesome, guys. Well, what an incredible group session. Just really amazing information. Does everyone, little thumbs up, does everyone see the balance and the mirroring that you guys all did with each other, and the amount of, you know, the loss of this disconnect of past lifetimes, and the resentment to be human, and the trust in yourself, and the taking the leap of faith and moving into this new cycle? You know, I think a lot of you are just gearing up for that, and it's very obvious that that restlessness, you know, that a bit of an anxiety will actually push us into new and uncharted territories. And the last thing I want to mention is you guys all manifested this. Like just take a moment to realize that you manifested this beautiful free information that is changing your soul, you know, right then and there. Like you guys are so freaking supported by the universe. I just want to like remind you, if you haven't already kind of thought about that yourself, but you are so supported by the universe. All your spirit guides are looking out for you. You are so loved. You're so guided. And each and every one of you are ready for the next step. I see it in all of you, and it's time for you to see it in yourself, because the world is waiting, and we need as many people as conscious as possible to kind of usher in this new vibrational frequency and understand that spirituality isn't a scary thing, and that it does kind of touch the hearts and the souls of every person on this planet. Okay, and each of you are a piece of that puzzle. All right. Awesome. Thank you all so much. This will be released probably in the next week, and then I will send you the personal recording, or Lauren will send you the personal recording tomorrow via Google Drive. All right, guys, have a great rest of your night, your day, your evening, your morning, wherever you are, and hope to see you all once again in a group session. Bye.